Women of the Year finalist, among many other hats to her name, Lebo Pule. Good to have you, Lebo. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you, Leanne.
I mean, you've had a business. Well, you've got a business, okay?
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a short while. But I mean, it wasn't that easy to just suddenly become the successful businesswoman. I mean, you've been through a lot of challenges. Talk us through what it was like starting out for you.
You know, Leanne, I started a business at age 27, and I was extremely naive. I started the wrong way around. A lot of people mistake having money with having success. In my first business, which was 2002, I turned over 1.8 million in my first year of business. Wow. And I thought that was it. I did not understand the business concept. I understood that there is money and I have to spend it. I didn't understand that you actually have to build, you have to reinvest back into the business, you have to build it slowly. So, which is why I discourage a lot of people who want to start businesses with funding. You know, that just because you have funding does not mean that you will succeed. I mean, we do know the stats say that 70% of startups go under, and about 50% of those are those who had funding. So one of the challenges, or one of the biggest lessons, was money does not necessarily turn you into a business person. And amongst other things, also growing too quickly, you know, because there is money flowing in, you're thinking you have to have a big showroom, you have to have staff, you have to pay them well. So you're doing everything wrong. You're basically doing things that you should be doing 5 years down the line in the first 2 years, and that killed me.
Yeah,
that's one of the things.
Being a startup.
Yes.
What business were you involved in?
I was supplying office furniture, and anything actually you see in an office, I would supply it, down from carpets to blinds. It was a project kind of business. So you would call me, SABC would call and say, we want to renovate the entire thing. So it was massive. It needed somebody who understood what they were doing. And, you know, the funny part is, in as much as you work hard, when you are green, you are still green. You don't know. You undercost without knowing that you're undercosting, because there's money flowing in. So you don't see that you're not making profit anyway. You know, it is very complex.
So that business of yours failed?
It failed after 4 years. I went under on my 4th year.
Sure.
I lost everything.
Wow.
Everything.
Yeah, and that's got to be heartbreaking, especially for, you know, somebody who was, you know, you were thinking, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a very wealthy woman. I'm so successful. I'm finalist in Woman of the Year, and I'm this and I'm that. And then it all fails.
And then it all
what
failed,
happened then?
You know, I think the woman you're speaking to today is the woman who grew up in 2007. So 2002 happened. I made it, and then I fell hard. So 2006 was the biggest learning curve. It was the worst year of my life. And the year 2007, I was home, back at my mom's home, back in my bedroom, rethinking things. There's a lot of things that happen when you hit rock bottom. I suppose that's why they say God is the rock, because you meet God as you hit rock bottom. A lot of learning, a lot of reading, a lot of humbling. Remember, when you make mistakes in business, when you start not paying your suppliers on time, not paying your staff, that kills you slowly. That kills the humanity in you. So as part of my healing, as part of my learning, I found myself going back to every single person, Leanne, every single supplier that I owed, that I played, apologizing, writing letters. I'll never forget this man called Brian Strang. He was one of my biggest suppliers of furniture, and he's the one that I messed up the most. I remember when I went back to him and he said, you know, the thing is this, Lebo, we knew where you were. We could see it, and you wouldn't listen. We've been in business for 22 years, and we understood the ditch, which everybody apparently goes through. We understood the ditch you were in, but you were not able to listen. And today, I mean, you know, Brian and I are in good terms, and it's okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's okay.
So the advice is to listen to others. I mean, just listen. Because there's always somebody out there that knows a lot more than you know, especially when you're starting out. You've got to take this advice. So what do you do now, Lebo? What business are you involved in now?
You know, right now I'm doing what is part of my calling. I'm a very strong salesperson. So my business is called Lebo Pule Business Networks. I do sales. I do 3 things. First of all, it's sales advisory. So you would be a sales manager in a corporate, and you'd be facing target problems, staff problems, whatever it could be, but sales related. I come in, it's straightforward consulting. The second service is sales workshops. There's a lot of entrepreneurs in the country, as you know, which we need. A lot of entrepreneurs have brilliant ideas, but they can't sell them.
Yeah.
So I run a 3-day sales workshop. So they come for that. And the third service is business connections. You might want to meet a particular client and you've been struggling to get them. I make those networks happen.
Fantastic.
Yeah, those are the 3. And that's who I am.
Good.
Which is another thing, Leanne, you have to do what is truly you.
Yeah.
Furniture was something I understood.
But it wasn't
I hate
you.
it, yeah.
It wasn't you.
It wasn't
You were doing
me,
it because
yeah.
the money was there,
Yes.
it was coming in.
And I
but the
came
passion
from
wasn't
that industry, yeah.
There's something else that you feel very strongly about, and especially in Women's Month, and I think it's something that we need to address. It's women advancement,
Yes.
sexual favors. I mean, this
Yes.
is, it's something close to you. A, why do you feel this way about it? And secondly, what lessons have learned out of this?
You know, Leanne, I don't know if I should say this, but I am writing a book about a very patriarchal society that we grew up in. I grew up in Alex, and there's a sense amongst males and females, and I could be wrong, but it's a sense I get that there is this unspoken urge for women to reward men who help them sexually. And this unspoken also entitlement for men to almost want a sexual favor. And it's been happening from time immemorial. And in my book, I address that quite extensively. The book is coming out in September.
Fantastic.
I think I've always been a gender activist. I just didn't know that it had a name. You know, growing up in an environment where it's a township, where it's really, really a man's world, where you can't walk 5 kilometers without being called, being touched, being asked out, being told that you are growing up for them. You know, you'd have this thing in townships where older men would always look at a young girl and says, "Wangkholela," meaning you are growing up for me.
Yeah.
And it's something that stayed with me for a long time. I'm not surprised that I'm actually a gender activist today, because I've always felt the discomforts of being a woman in this country.
Yeah. Well, we'll wait anxiously for this book of yours to come out. So it's happening in September.
In September, yeah. It's
Fantastic.
called
That's next month.
Yeah.
I mean, we make
I'm
it sound
busy.
like it's so far away, but this year has just flown.
Yes.
Lebo, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
You've taught me a lesson or two. I can tell you that,
Okay.
as a woman in business and also as just a woman in general. And I hope that women out there have listened and heeded the call as well. Lebo Pule is an entrepreneur, gender activist. She was a 2011 Women of the Year finalist among the long list of hats that she wears as well, speaking to us about some of the issues affecting females as we go through Women's Month this month in August. Thank you again for joining us.